everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your 16th Matlock episode review, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big old world. I want to say I am so sorry. I for some reason, I'm like, it's a twofold reason why we are super delayed. Number one, I completely forgot about Matlock for a second. As if you are watching all the review series or not, I'll catch you up a little bit on speed. So since we've been off the air, I had an accident. It wasn't a major life accident. A part of my finger did get chopped off. I'm in the final stages of healing right now. So the week I was recovering for, which was last week, I was kind of not in a planning mood for not trying to say this is a chore, but more like how was I going to construct the production schedule for filming at least the What's in the Tube stuff. So for me, I thought that Matlock was going to come back this week as we're recording this. So in my brain, I'm like, yeah, I still got an extra week. I'll bang out Reacher, I'll continue Rookie, and then I'll continue Suits LA. So I thought I had an extra week on Matlock. So imagine my surprise when I went to go update my calendar, since I kind of got back a little bit to normal this week, and to check in, okay, how do I work the schedule? And then I realized, oh crap, the show actually came back last week, not this week. So it was a bit of a delay. By the time we were already in the production wagon, I'm like, okay, well, I already delayed it long enough. I might as well just do it last and then just get back in the usual rigmarole later this week. So I do apologize. I really, really do. It happens to all of us. It really does. I had to reactivate Paramount Plus for it, which... it's fine. I gotta catch up on Georgie and Mandy anyway. But with all that being said, we're back. We're back for the last run of episodes for the Matlock. I actually just found that apparently Matlock's season finale will be a two-part event. It will be 2 episodes. It will be a part 1, part 2, episode 18, 19. Don't know why they're ending in episode 19. I really don't. It's kind of an odd number. I thought it was going to end in 18, or you might as well go to 20. I really don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. I really don't know. But the point of the matter is that it's going to end on the same time. I haven't decided how I'm going to cover that episode. I really don't know. It's a first-time effort for me. So we're going to see. We're going to see how that goes. We're going to see. I make no promises on that episode just quite yet. Just give me till next week. I'll discuss it then. But we're back. Matlock's back. It's been a while. It's been a really long while. I think it was only 3 weeks this hiatus, so it's not the longest we've been off the air. But these last 3 weeks have been so long, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, besides this, it's just so work and just everything going on. Yeah, it's just a lot to mitigate that. I completely forgot what was going on in Matlock. Like, the fact is, we were on a good roll, and I do understand. Yeah, they were trying to make it convenient for the scheduling, but like for me, it's like there was so much off the table here. So I was just completely I was flabbergasted by the time we came back. I really had to pay attention to the recap. Like, what were we up to? I'm like, oh, right. Like, Maddie was about to make contact with the actual firm insider that gave her and her family the leak not many years ago. So that allowed her to be where we are now with the show. And so that's where we left off. And I'm like, oh, right. That's what we were up to. But for this week in Matlock, I enjoyed it a lot. It took me a bit of time because I had so much to do. There was so much to review in the side period that I needed a little time to kind of catch my thoughts back up. So it was a good episode. I'm not going to try and take anything away from it. But I will say that ending moment was like, oh, I don't curse on this one, but I'm going to say, oh, sheesh. It's about to get real, everyone. It's about to get real. You thought the last cliffhanger was about to get real? This is about to get real. I was like, there was no way we were going to go the entire run with no one really figuring out what's going on with the entire, the secrecy behind Maddie's time here at I already forgot the name of the firm. That's how long it's been. With the firm. So now it's like, yes. I'm like, here we are. Last 3 episodes. We're ready to lock and load. I'm really excited. I really, really am. But this was still a good episode. This was still very much of a character reassessment episode, kind of. Again, you kind of have to have these ones to kind of really make your stake towards the finale. And it's still going to be very interesting to see how they're going to wrap up the ship, how we're going to get to season 2. I'm very curious to see how all that's going to really play out, to be honest with you. I'm really curious to see. But yeah, but other than that, no, I just thought this was a good episode overall, and I think this makes for a very nice regular-ish episode. And I said this many times already. This felt like another regular case of the week episode, and then the next 3 episodes are going to purely focus on the core story of the show, and I'm very excited to see how they're going to nail the ship, how they're going to wrap it all up. And I'm very excited. I really am. But with all that being said, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Matlock. So we begin right where we left off last time. Maddie is watching one of the primary document associate, and from a distance. Obviously, she's very worried again. Like the fact that she's even here, that we got the confirmation she was the one who leaked it many years ago. However, Maddie's not quite ready to reveal her identity just quite yet. She still wants to maintain a level of a mysterious aura around her. So she pages her from a distance, using a fake voice generator app to kind of hide herself. She's basically just trying to like, look, I got the documents you said. I found them. We have them confirmed. Now, all you need to do is confirm with me the timeline so we can 100% nail down who is it. Is it officially Olympia, or is there still a little bit of wiggle room that it could be someone else? Sadly, she is still very hesitant on doing so. The fact that she's even here is still not 100% of a vote of confidence that she's 100% really on board with this entire arrangement. She's still very much hesitant. And also by the time Maddie asked her the question, tell me, was the timeline I provided you correct? Was it Olympia? And she said, no. The timeline you provided me would not match anyone that you're saying right now. And she hangs up the phone, leaving the burner phone behind, and then she takes the burner phone with her, and then she walks away, leaving Maddie a bit disappointed the fact they did not nail down the final clinch just quite yet. I believe from there, I'm not sure if we return back to Maddie's house or if we return back to the firm. That's kind of where I get a little lost by. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to say, no, we do go back to the house first. Even though it didn't really proceed forward, they still need to figure out what are the timeline pitch that they send over that would not make it conclusive that it was her, that it was Olympia. So, and look, obviously, of course, Maddie's still very much kind of, still timid around Olympia, considering the fact that there was a possibility she could have been not directly, but inadvertently responsible for her daughter's death. So that's still something that she's not quite shaken up just quite yet. Then we cut to the firm where Maddie and Olympia are kind of, just joshing around a little bit, kind of celebrating over Olympia's big win over Slam last time. And then hopefully this will mean higher cases, more cases, and of course, obviously, a better chance of getting partner very soon. However, sadly, when she does come into the firm, she looks around. Everyone's looking at her all nasty, like wow, like this person like did something like a crime or something like that. Elijah pulls her aside, kind of tells her what's going on. Meanwhile, Billy and Sarah kind of having another ethics question about when Maddie needed to determine the result. I forgot what the ethics question was 100%, but Olympia does show up and explain to them that sadly, despite the win against Slam, despite the money they made, apparently the wins of that case destroyed the chances of another class action lawsuit that was happening off screen simultaneously with that. So now people are going from like, oh, Olympia made X amount of money for the firm, now going to like, oh, Olympia destroyed another case to win her case. She's not a team player / a partner, which I'm just like, that is the most bullshit thing I've ever heard. Like, isn't the whole point, like, okay, this is exactly one of the reasons why I didn't want to be a lawyer. Well, I didn't like the workload anyway. I did practice law for like 1 semester of college, which isn't that much. But the point I'm trying to make is that these agendas, these financial goals don't make sense. I understand, like, when you come to a firm, you need to make money for the business. Obviously, you're making money from them, so you got to provide them with money. Obviously, it can't just be a very loose exchange. So, with that happenstance, I never really could get into it, like, to be honest with you, because they take the big cases, but then you'll still get penalized. It's got to be the perfect case, basically. It's like, okay, your case cannot interfere with this guy's case, so if it is an interference, either one of you is going to drop your case. So I'm like, that's totally unfair. That's totally bullshit, considering. You tell me, like, of all this research Olympia's done for that class action for many years, from what the implication was, you're telling me not a single other associate in that firm went up to say, hey, so your case, I'm not trying to be negative, but if your case wins, my case is fucked. Like, was that never a conversation at any point? Like, to tell Olympia. I really don't know. I can't fault with you about that. But so yeah, so there's a bit of disappointment. So basically, her entire victory lap over Julian may be for naught, basically speaking. However, sadly, before we can get to the meat of that, she does get called over by a friend who I swear to God, I've seen her before. I've seen this actress before. I don't know where it's from. I was thinking maybe Supergirl, maybe? I don't know. I've seen her before somewhere. I don't quite remember. It was Olympia's best friend from college. They went in two separate career paths. Olympia obviously doing corporate law, doing more professional paying firm law, and then her other friend being a public defender, coming with her with a case. Apparently, she was about to represent an individual who was a juror on a murder case 20 years ago. And sadly, now she's coming to light saying that her vote was not proper. Giving more of the context of the story is that when she was on the trial of this murder case as the jury member, the entire juror committee and the I forgot who the name of the it's the individual that basically is in charge of the group, basically speaking. So she had some vocal concerns over one piece of evidence and did not want to fully say 100% sure that this man was the guilty party. And then this the foreman, that's his name, basically told her, like, what are you doing? Like, all you're doing is trying to make more money off the state, trying to get out of work. That's all you're doing. So please wrap it up for us, give it a guilty, and let's move on. So that's what she did. So she was coerced and bullied into giving a guilty verdict when in reality it was not. So sadly, that did not end up happening, so to speak. And now she's coming to light because she feels bad, and she also thought that eventually an appeal would probably save the man's life, but it has not so far. So, and the man has already run out of appeal points to use. So sadly, there really is not much they can do on this junction. So hopefully, Olympia, again, just hot off the slam case, could probably have some more pull, some more resources that the public defender's office would not. And when they hear more of the story, Maddie does kind of snap a little bit, considering the fact this was similar to her current predicament with the other associate that she's dealing with for her personal matter. So besides that, Olivia at this poll side, her friend says, like, this is a losing case because we have no evidence. There's nothing circumstantial. Again, this is a 20-year-old case. So I'm like, this is going to be difficult. However, eventually she just decides, you know what, fine, I'll do it. See how it goes. Again, there's nothing for her to lose right now, and to leave it at that. She does ask her for a favor, though, but we'll get to that. When we cut back over to, I believe, where do we go from here? I know the associate that we're looking at, the one who was the leaker, receives a package which has a very tiny dog-shaped cookie in it, which has a note basically frightening her, hey, look, I'm going to call you at 3 o'clock today. If you don't pick up the phone, I'm going to pursue forward, and it will involve Bruce Manitou, which I'm just confused, like, okay, but I mean, I know it's a singer, but I'm not sure what the context of this really is. So from there, Olympia and Maddie head over to the prison to meet the wrongly convicted, trying to get his lay of the story, and this guy's basically defeated. He's like, again, 21 years in the prison. Thankfully, he's just mentally broken. He already gave his all the information he needed to many, many times in all the transcripts, the entire investigation. There's nothing really more for him to say. He just said, look, I appreciate it if you're trying to open this up, but at the end of the day, like, I already have a routine here. This is my life now. Like, I am the librarian for this place, a very difficult position, but it's the most, like, less grueling job in the prison. You know, like, he'll be the Brooks here. So he's kind of defeated, but however, with that, what his statement being said, Olympia and I both confirmed to each other, this is not a criminal. This is not a killer. This is someone that was just mentally broken by the system and sadly serving a sentence for a crime he didn't commit. So they both agree to do this. However, sadly, it is a very difficult case to matter, considering the fact that, again, he tried all his appeals. None of them went through. So it's literally, how do they get this case back into court? And they realize there is one angle they can explore by having the original juror that voiced her complaints of the foreman and taking him to court, basically speaking, to get the case back to court. And the two sides argue just like on the validity of it. However, Olympia does manage to prove, like, without a doubt, that, okay, you know what? There's still a bit of happenstance. So grant me some time. Let me look at this case in a new modern light. And if there's 100% no new information I can use, then 100% I will drop the case. And the judge is like, fine, let's do it. Let's entertain this. So she does get the approval, but they have basically 48 hours to get a convicted man out of prison. So yeah, it's a pretty big mile to heat. Then a carrier comes over to Olympia, giving her something called the Johnson case, which instantly Sarah tries to poach for, but Olympia projects it, saying that it's just a secondary case. Don't worry about it. You guys pursue with your research. And obviously mostly Sarah starts delivering what's going on. What's the Johnson case? Like I have every case she's ever tried it, and an Excel case with the statuses and everything. And I'm just like, I appreciate the OCD, Sarah. That's just hella creepy. So around there, they continue the research. I believe they get into it originally speaking, trying to find out what's going on. I know eventually at a certain point, Maddie does call in the woman, basically telling her, she calls the woman trying to get in response to her, but it doesn't really work whatsoever. So that doesn't really help out, so to speak. So after she fails to pick up the phone, Maddie calls up her husband saying that we're going to have to take a secondary approach to get to her. So it's time we involve Bruce Manilow, which I'm like, okay, are we actually going to get the actor to show up? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm like, okay, that'll be interesting. We'll cut to that later. Sarah and Billy conclude their research. They are looking for things. It's kind of ironclad right now. Every angle kind of was exhausted during the original investigation. However, there was a couple of suspects that was noted on the original notes that were never really fully followed up on for the case itself. So their only angles kind of like, proceed forward with that, see what's going on over there with that time point. I do know eventually at some point Maddie does go over to the lady again. Apparently she brought her dog over, which I'm like, oh, so the dog is Bruce Manilow, which I'm just like, I would not be surprised. I'm not surprised this was the direction they took for this. Apparently she has emergency dental surgery to conduct, and she's going to be out of it for a couple of days. So she needs someone very trusting to take care of her dog, and she gives it to Maddie because she trusts her to take care of it, which I'm like, again, I'm pretty sure this is all part of Maddie's plan to get in on this. We head over that night where Maddie and her husband briefly celebrate. It's like, okay, the invitation factor didn't work, but like now we have a hostage, which I'm just like, oh boy, this is not going to be pretty. Not going to be pretty whatsoever. So from there, so they continue going through it. They're going to follow up on this plan tomorrow. However, of course, Maddie's just kind of chiming in still on the case in progress. There really is not much to be made. I know she had a scene where she reaches out to the prisoner to figure out, because one of the individuals that was noted in their apartment was actually registered to a business that's no longer valid. But how he is able to provide a name of someone that was supposedly questioned but never was followed up in court, basically speaking. I think eventually they do have, I think Sarah and Billy do have a one-on-one with that individual specifically. And she does mention, like, she was my neighbor. Nothing out of the ordinary. However, she did overhear an argument between her and someone else the night before, which was apparently her grandson. But however, the problem with that theory is that there was no grandson registered at all during the case notes. So he was never even, like, looked upon. So that's really their only angle to, like, kind of continue forward and figure out what's going on. I do know there was another call scene with Maddie and the whistleblower, where she said, "Oh no, yeah, Bruce is doing fine, no issue whatsoever. I did leave him alone with my grandson. My grandson did say there was a nice stranger who like took him away, and that's when like the whistleblower's like, oh no." So she knows 100% like, yeah, that the dog has been kidnapped. So her Maddie's husband pretends to be the kidnapper, trying to get the information. And that's when she admits to them, okay, fine. Time was not correct because the point you're trying to say is during a fire drill. So technically, all the key cards, all the scan-ins would be off. So there would be no registered way. So technically, there would be no way to really figure out who went in the room. However, there was confirmation of the original suspected three, of the fact that of the three key cards that were scanned that day during the fire drill, only, like I said, only three were not scanned: in Julian, Senior, and Olympia. So that's where the original leak came from. Like, okay, so the day the documents disappeared that was essential to the opioid epidemic was linked to those three because they were not scanned. They were not scanned in by that. And of course, obviously, we already know that Senior was in another country. So unless he had a patsy or whatsoever, but considering the fact that the key cards were scanned, it returns back to the original conclusion that it had to be those three. So now it's 50-50, Olympia or Julian, which again, as of right now, it seems to be Olympia. He calls Maddie with the news. So now they have to find a way to 100% prove that Olympia was either in the building or was not in the building. Because if they can at least rule out one more person, that's only one other suspect left. So that's all they can do right now to proceed forward with that regard. Where do I go from there? Sorry, long day already. Where do we go from there? I believe we head over to, they explored the grandson a little bit, which has a financial component. He did have a huge insurance payout from her death. So, yeah, cause for murder. So they immediately head over there. It's a very nice, wealthy place. He's living in the high life. They're trying to get some dirt on him, seeing like he's going to admit to the murder. I'm like, yeah, it's just all of a sudden you had an argument with your grandma the night before her death. Next day she's dead, and then after that you collect all that insurance. And obviously he feels insulted by it. He's very hurt by that. It essentially kicks them out until Billy like takes one of the cucumber salad sandwiches that he was eating away to use for DNA evidence, which sadly is not admissible since technically they don't really have that technology. That would be someone like a DA's perspective, basically. But again, we'll get to that momentarily. I believe on that front, I know Maddie does Maddie take the dog back? No. I think we end up that day, we return back to the house where Maddie is going through things, and there is a billable statement that Olympia could have potentially been in court that day during the fire drill. So if she wasn't present that day when the documents disappeared, then that would eliminate her as a subject, and that would leave Julia. However, since billable documents are very much fakeable, there is a possibility that could have been faked. So the two proceed onwards to just, making sure 100% that if Olympia was in court, that's their next move. So that's where they're going to pursue forward from there. I believe from after that point, we head back over to I know Alfie is playing with the dog, and the dog pissed on the floor, which is pretty funny. That dog is adorable. I know the dog does eventually go back to the whistleblower, and that probably will conclude her storyline for the season so far, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything more we need to do on that regard. I know Olympia is kind of running out of options. She does go to Julian. Very sad, and even though they're divorced, they're still very much close companions. They're both parents. They both know each other, so she kind of needs a hug from him for support to kind of assess the potential losses she's about to feel very soon. I also know the prisoner does call back Maddie to kind of ask her for an update on the case, and she said most likely there's been no movements. I'm sorry. And I know Olympia does go through that same ADA that we've seen a couple times over already, to ask him to assist him on the matter, like trying to use his connections to try and get the DNA test happening and everything, seeing if he can assist on this. And he's like, not much I can do. Sorry, I only have so much limited pool, and like there is really not much you can do. So sadly, Olympia does have to kind of take this defeat and return back to the firm empty-handed, with most likely nothing to present for this. To be completely frank with you, and I believe I am forgetting a scene. I cannot quite remember what the heck's going on. Really, I cannot. I do know. I think the ADA does have a change of heart. He does go back to her and says, "Look, I will help you, and I did help you. So I ran a DNA test on the sample you left me and the sample we had from the crime scene way back ago, which it does not confirm that it was the grandson. Sadly, so the grandson is technically proven innocent. However, it does match someone else in their database, which they do take to court. Olympia does present it that, while their original suspected person was not the person it is, it did match a registered offender from a spree of burglaries, burglary, I can't pronounce it, a spree of break-ins at the time period, and that he was already arrested and he was never charged for any murder. So technically he was responsible. It could have been just a murder gone wrong. He got away from it, and the doorman was found guilty over it as a miscommunication. So between all that, and sadly the individual is proven deceased, so the only thing they could do right now is just to let him go from prison to give him another chance at society, which the judge does agree to. She does rule the case in the original juror's finding, and the foreman just sits there like defeated. I'm like, I am waiting for the day that someone is saying something that they claim is right, and then they're proven 100% wrong, and I would love to go up and say, okay, tell me now. You said you were right about this. Show me. Tell me, how do you feel? You're wrong. You'll never be right again. And this is when I throw a tomato. Maddie does also get a text from her husband letting her know she does have a big piece of news. When Maddie does call him back, he does let her know that, yes, Olympia was 100% at the courthouse during the fire drill, which means she was not the taker of the WEX files, and as well, that means Julian, at least for now, pending another twist of the day, was responsible for the documents. So that doesn't quite. It makes it obviously makes Maddie happy, since obviously her and Olympia got very close to each other, and now they're able to kind of pick it back up and now focus all their effort back to Julian. I do believe we get another scene where the juror meets up with the original in prison, now free, and they do share a very sweet hug with each other, as Olympia kind of watches with the ADA, kind of like, you see what good you can do when you support the good guys. He's like, yeah, but I don't know what it's going to do for my career. And Olympia's like, I know what it's going to do for your career. So they do a press conference announcing a partnership between the law firm Jacobson Moore with the ADA's office. They were able to get an innocent man out of prison over his free time, showing that there will be progressive actions to be taken now, that this could be the beginning of a very fruitful partnership between them. We do come back to the room where Sarah and Billy are confirmed because of that speech that Olympia might be moving out of the firm and moving into the public sector, being a public defender, which I forgot that was a scene that I omitted where they do ask Maddie to use her friendship with Olympia to see if she can get that information from her, but Olympia just said no comment. I have nothing to offer that at this time. So yeah, Olympia does look at them and say yes, she did briefly consider the move. However, she does realize if she does move, she will not be able to keep her team, which is her winning team. So she'd rather stay at the firm, regardless of whatever happens next, to continue fighting the good fight with her team. Maddie gives her a hug and support, again, not just for the decision to stay, but also just in general that she's cleared. She is not the bad guy here, that they can just now resume being friends as Maddie can continue focusing her case on Julian right now. So it's still a very big one all around. I don't quite remember if there's anything else that I forgot. I think we just cut to the next scene where Maddie gets a call from her husband again, where again he's voicing like, you must be happy, your BFF Olympia is not clear. Now we can focus all our efforts on Julian, which will hopefully mean this matter will soon be over. However, as Maddie is leaving the bus to go meet up with her usual driver service, Olympia is right outside the bus. Maddie's obviously confused, like, oh, what's going on? I thought you were gonna be at the. You want me back in the office, work on another case before we head home for the day? And she's like, nah. The Johnson case, the case that y'all been speculating about, it's actually about you. So apparently the whole damn, I forgot the I already forgot her name. From the not Pedra and Sarah failed to do, where Olympia had enough suspicious activity to warrant looking into Maddie a little bit further, especially after her conversation with Julia, where she said, it said, no more lies, we're going to get divorced, but I don't want any lies between them. We're still going to be co-parents, we're still going to be in each other's lives for, sadly, the rest of our lives. So tell me, did you plant a recording device in my office? And that's when she started to realize, Maddie was very much pivoting to Julian at that time, like, oh, it should be Julian. He's doing the board. He's doing all this. Like, it's got to be Julian. And so she starts digging in. And then, sadly, the Alfie Wallace situation did kind of, get discovered earlier before Olympia did make the discovery. There was also the Maddie's sister that came into the courthouse that, instantly Olympia went to go follow up on. There was so many, sadly, between Alfie and her sister that it all went wrong. Maddie's been made. And now she's asking her, who are you? And that's how we end this week's episode of Matlock. Which for me, again, I found to be great. Towards the end, I'm like, holy crap. Finally, it happened. I'm waiting to see how Maddie's going to get out of this one. I'm waiting to see how this is going to get followed up. I'm just curious to see. I really am. Like, will she involve Olympia into things? I really don't know. It can go either way. It'll probably take some time, but I'm pretty sure she'll follow suit. But no, I still think this was a good episode. I definitely think the case matter is very important. That there are sadly times where the jury, the legal system do fail, even still today, and that there are moments like these that can be genuine and can bring back fairness back to it. But really focusing corely on Maddie's case a little bit more was I think needed. Again, we're approaching the end of the season. It was high time we make some effort. So even though we now suspect it was Julian once and for all, it very much is now critical to see, is Olympia going to be on Maddie's side once she finds out the truth, or she's going to be against Maddie's side. So very much it's still a big old question mark to what it's going to be. And I think I finally might break my preview streak and finally watch that preview, because I want to see it now. I really, really want to do. I want to get a taste of what's going to happen. I really want to. But we shall see very, very soon. But for the time being, I believe that's going to do it for me. So I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this week's episode of Matlock. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. As always, I would love to have a conversation with you about it, if you don't mind. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the 2 from ActionX. We're reviewing every episode in the first season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the 2 besides our Matlock episode reviews. Right now, we are currently doing Reacher reviews each and every week after brand news on Amazon Prime. We are also doing Suits LA episode reviews each and every week after brand news on NBC. And we are also doing Rookie episode reviews each and every Tuesdays after brand news on ABC. But if you don't care about Matlock, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review for you, so stay tuned until then. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always,